What am I feeling if I don't want to get out of bed? Understanding the difference between grief and depression when your energy is low and your mood is affecting your daily life. If you're feeling down and not wanting to get out of bed when you wake up, it's normal to feel concerned about your emotional state and that something might be wrong with you. You may try to perk yourself up, tell yourself you're fine, or judge yourself because you got a good night's sleep, and it's easy to tell yourself that there's no logical reason to feel the way you do. But you still lack the energy to open your eyes, lift up the covers, place your feet on the floor, stand up, and start your day. Feeling this way might make you wonder if you're dealing with depression, grief, or something else. Although grief and depression can have overlapping symptoms, they are known to come from different sources, and they're known to involve different approaches for ways to cope. By asking yourself specific questions and understanding key differences, you can gain clarity and understanding for your current emotional state and take helpful steps to care for yourself, re-energize, and change the way you feel. Important questions to ask yourself about the way you feel. I believe that most changes in life, emotions included, come from the awareness of or curiosity about why you feel the way you do. Essentially, you want to know your why. When you wake up feeling down, drained, or struggling to start your day, it's helpful to understand why you wake up feeling the way you do. In order to better understand why you wake up feeling a certain way, my suggestion is reflect on these recommended questions I'm about to share. Feel free to write the questions down so that you have the list and you can run through that when you lie awake each morning. Here are the reflective questions. The first one is, how did I sleep last night? Did you have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Did you sleep too much or too little? If you experienced sleep disturbances, you may have evidence or indicators for being affected by grief, depression, fatigue, or something else. Question 2. What is the first thought or feeling I have upon waking? Is it a feeling of dread, sadness, anxiety, or something else? Are you thinking about a specific loss or event? This can help identify if your emotions are tied to a particular event or circumstance in your life. It can also be a strong indicator for whether you are grieving or feeling depressed. Question 3. What am I looking forward to today? Do you have any plans or activities that you feel excited about? Or does everything feel like a chore? If it's the latter, please give yourself some grace. It's so easy to judge yourself or be hard on yourself when you acknowledge or realize that there's very little you feel excited about. Depression often leads to a lack of interest in activities, even ones that you used to find enjoyable. So when you're grieving, you may still find moments of joy in certain activities, and in my opinion, especially with eating certain foods. I've heard some favorites such as chocolate or ice cream. Question 4. How do I feel about myself right now? Honest answers provide helpful and useful information. If you are experiencing feelings of worthlessness, guilt, or self-blame, you may also feel lower self-esteem. And that lower self-esteem is more commonly associated with depression and less commonly associated with grief. So what if you feel neutral or positive about yourself? If you have a balanced view of yourself, it's easy to understand that these feelings you're considering, they're more of a natural response to loss and not a reflection of your overall value. Question 5. What do I need right now? Are you in need of comfort, support, rest, or something else? Identifying your needs can help you take steps to address them. To help, consider these key points. Signs of needing comfort include feeling emotionally raw, needing reassurance, seeking solace, or a sense of safety. Signs of needing support include feeling overwhelmed, needing guidance, seeking validation or understanding. And signs of needing rest include physical exhaustion, mental fatigue, or feeling run down. In question 6, am I longing for someone or something or thinking about the loss of a specific person or thing? If your thoughts are focused on a particular loss, this might indicate grief. Consider how these thoughts are affecting your mood and your energy. You can be emotionally impacted and experience a range of feelings like sadness, anger, and/or guilt. Distinguishing between grief and depression. There are a lot of people who are grieving but think they're depressed. The symptoms of grief and depression are similar. For example, feeling deep sadness, having trouble sleeping, and feeling unmotivated to do daily activities are symptoms of both grief and depression. To differentiate between these conditions, it's helpful to understand each of their unique characteristics and how they manifest in daily life. Below are some key factors that help distinguish grief from depression. What is grief? Grief is typically precipitated by a specific loss, such as the death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or another significant life change or transition. This recognition of the type of loss helps for identifying if grief is your current experience. Grief often comes in waves, with periods of intense sadness followed by times of momentary calm. There may be moments where you feel okay or even experience happiness, interspersed with these times of deep sorrow and/or longing for someone, or feeling alone and isolated. You can even feel both sad and happy simultaneously. This contrast of emotions is often a distinctive feature of grief, unlike depression. Grief tends to have an area of focus. It is usually centered around a loss and may involve thoughts and memories of the deceased or the event that caused the grief. In contrast to depression, grief tends to have a reason for explanation because you've lost someone or something extremely important to you. Lastly, grief has less of an impact on your self-esteem. You won't perceive yourself to have low value, be insignificant, or feel like you don't matter in the world. Although you may feel sadness and longing, you won't struggle with feelings of worthlessness. Your sense of self typically remains intact. What is depression? What is depression? Depression is known to cause a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest that interferes with daily activities. It tends to be more constant and pervasive, without relief or fluctuations. Depression is a persistent low mood that can last for weeks, months, or longer. Depression often involves a persistent low mood that affects all areas of your life, not just those related to loss. It's a blanket feeling of sadness or emptiness that doesn't lift. People who are depressed don't feel much relief from doing activities, otherwise known to change a mood. For example, journaling, exercising, or talking to others has little or no impact on cheering you up. When you're depressed, it's difficult to feel a sense of pleasure. People with depression often experience anhedonia, or a loss of interest and pleasure in activities they once enjoyed, unrelated to any specific loss. Clinically depressed people have also stated that it's hard to find pleasure in any activity. Depression frequently includes feelings of worthlessness, excessive guilt, or self-loathing. These feelings can be pervasive and impact your overall self-image. I've heard clients say that when they were depressed, they couldn't see any possible way out of it. It was like they're being sucked in a black hole of immense sadness. It had no beginning, it had no end. It was just darkness, weight, and emptiness. Are you depressed or are you grieving? Engaging in a reflective practice with self-compassion. Reflecting on the subtle differences between grief and depression can help you discern the state of emotion you are experiencing. Asking yourself some questions about your symptoms each morning and reflecting on your answers can provide valuable insights for your authentic experience. For the purpose of distinguishing clarity for your emotional state, I recommend jotting down the following questions, creating or copying the scorecard provided in the article format of this, and implementing this practice into your morning routine for a week or longer. Here's the reflective scorecard. It's 6 questions, and as a visual, you've got 3 columns. Column 1 is the question. Column 2 is like indicators for grief, and column 3 is indicators for depression. So if you had a printed version of this, you just circle which one resonates more at the time that you're doing it. So here's the questions. How do I feel about today? Now, if you feel unmotivated or something relative, might be an indicator of grief. But if you feel dreadful or something relative, might be an indicator of depression. The other question is my emotional pain associated with longing for someone or something? If it's yes, circle grief. If it's no, circle depression. Question 3. How do I feel about myself? If it's grief, you may feel sad and something else. Depression might be worthless, hopeless, miserable. Question 4. Does a specific person or event come to mind right now? If your answer is yes, grief. If your answer is no, depression. Question 5. How do I feel about tomorrow? An answer grief-related may sound something like, depends on how I feel today. Whereas depression, likely dejected. And the last question on the scorecard is, what can I do today to help make the day more enjoyable? Grief-related, you could have an answer similar to, I could do blank, and you could fill in the blank. But if your answer is nothing, it's likely an indicator of depression. And as a reminder, there's a digital version of the scorecard just mentioned on the Grief Refuge website. You could go to griefrefuge.com and just select blog, and you'll find this version in article format, and there you'll see the scorecard there if you want the visual for it. In addition to using the scorecard, you can utilize additional practices for clarity and to help navigate your process. These additional practices can include journaling your responses. Writing down your thoughts and reflections each day about your state of emotion can help you track patterns and better understand them. Over time, you might notice trends that can guide you in identifying whether you're experiencing grief or depression. Track your moods. You can use mood tracker apps or a simple notebook to note how you feel at different times of the day. This can help you see if your mood fluctuates, which is more indicative of grief, or if it remains constant, which is more indicative of depression. The Grief Refuge app has a feature called My Grief Journey, and that can help track your progress for your grief process. Practice self-compassion. Try to be gentle with yourself and recognize that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Both grief and depression are natural human experiences. They require support and time to heal. When you're feeling down, it's common to have negative self-talk, so do your best to counter those thoughts with ones that are kind, gentle, and self-validating. Hopefully you have clear answers to whether you're experiencing grief or depression at this point. Regardless of your emotional state, I'm willing to bet that you want to feel better. There are some practical things you can do to help boost your mood. They do require energy and effort, and I know that can be scarce. So do your best to exert that energy on ones that are conveniently accessible and you think they'll help the most. Next are some suggestions that may be helpful right now. Common activities to boost your mood when your energy is low. Try any of the following to help boost your mood and shift some energy within. Move your body. Physical activity can increase endorphins and improve your mood. Walks are highly recommended for people experiencing either grief or depression. Even a short walk outside or some light stretching can help. And here's a bonus tip. When you're walking, look up. It actually has a stronger sense of positivity or optimism, whereas looking down has more a sense of negativity and pessimism. There's also getting sunlight exposure. If you spend some time in natural sunlight, this will help boost serotonin levels and improve your mood. Serotonin helps with feeling calm and focused. Connect with others. There are people who will hold space for you in a caring and thoughtful way. The people who listen without judging are hard to find, but they do exist. Be brave and reach out to organizations in your community or online for social support. It can provide comfort and improve your mood, especially when you have the opportunity to share your story and be witnessed by others with caring curiosity. Give meditation a try. Practices such as mindfulness can help you stay present and manage stress. They also help to provide perspectives that are not as painful. Mindfulness provides a big and much needed sense of relief. Fortunately, there are many apps and online resources available to guide you if meditation is new and you don't know where to begin. Set small goals and keep your expectations realistic. Whether it's grief or depression, it's fair to assume that you ultimately want to feel better. I've said that before. With such a desire, it's easy and natural to think big and expect a drastic shift or complete transformation. However, the key to boosting your mood is to keep goals within reach. Accomplishing small tasks can provide a sense of achievement and help boost your confidence. For more about goals and grief, you can read the article I wrote called Setting Goals for Grief and Loss. What to do when your mood doesn't change or it worsens. If your low mood persists or you end up feeling worse, consider reaching out to a professional for support. They can provide guidance and support tailored to your needs, helping you navigate your feelings and finding effective coping strategies. If grief is affecting your mood, you can choose from working with counselors, coaches, or care companions. Each type of professional provides unique approaches that can be very comforting and soothing for navigating the thoughts and feelings during this difficult time. If depression is your current experience, a great option may be to work with a licensed mental health professional. They are equipped with knowledge and skills to work with you to alleviate symptoms, gain a better understanding of your experience, and or help boost your mood and change your behavior. So let's wrap things up regarding today's topic. Understanding whether you're grieving or experiencing depression can be challenging, and the symptoms for each can be similar. By asking yourself reflective questions and recognizing key differences, you can gain clarity and take important steps to care for your mental and emotional health. If you are grieving, feeling depressed, or experiencing both, responding to your thoughts and feelings with self-compassion is helpful for feeling better. Also find moments in your day to engage in activities that are healing-focused and help increase energy and positively impact your mood. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode and further exploring this topic. It's super important. Depression is a very painful, sometimes shameful experience, as is grief. So hopefully there were some great insights in the information shared today. My name's Reed Peterson. I'm the founder of Grief Refuge. If you need more support right now for loss and grief, we've got an app. It's called the Grief Refuge app. You can find that on your phone's app store. You can also contact us through the Grief Refuge website and explore perhaps one-to-one individualized grief care. Thanks so much. Take good care of yourself. Talk to you soon.